What's going on, YouTube? Back at you with another video. It's your boy JJ with more Brilliant Diamonds. Last time we took on the Steel type gym and got our last team member in the form of Gibble. And this episode, we're going to be training him up a little bit, getting both Gibble and Munchlax caught up with the rest of the team. And to do that, we're going to be exploring some of the other areas around Sinnoh. Starting with the rest of Orberg Gate that's down here. We could have explored this area earlier, right after we got the first badge, but I honestly neglected to do that, not because I was saving it for anything, but honestly, I just forgot about this area. And right over here, we can find a rather important item. TM70 Flash. This TM is actually a field move that was changed from the older games to be a TM in this game. However, it's still usable in the field, which is honestly pretty annoying to me. It's not available on the Poketch, the field move app on the Poketch, so you have to actually teach it to one of your Pokemon and use it out when on the field. I have never liked this move. It's only ever useful in like one or two areas, but somehow it keeps finding its way back into these mainstream games. But it is what it is. More Stardust right here. There's also a few ledges you can bike over. And over here, I believe it's a TM. TM31 Brick Break, which is a very good TM, and it can actually break through barriers like Reflect and Light Screen. So I'd recommend picking it up. Now that we have Surf, we can actually access this area over here as well, and battle this trainer. I believe he starts out with the Riolu. Yep. Riolu, as you might expect if you've seen it before, evolves into Lucario. We technically have access to one now, but I'm saving that for a later episode. It's not too far away, but a little bit later. And next is Raptor. We'll stay in. Should get some good experience from this, though. This might be the first Raptor we've actually seen in this whole game. From what you've also been able to see though from his trainer, his Pokemon are actually in the early 30s. He does have earlies too, actually, which shows that trainers now in these routes with Surf unlocked actually do have decent levels. Of course, now with this buffed experience share and the affection experience boost, we should be still heavily overleveled. Not too heavily, but enough. It's really good experience for Volvagia there. And a Graveler. This Graveler might have Sturdy, so maybe a better deal for Whirlpool here. Yep. And we'll probably just use Smackdown or something. Will they use Smackdown? Bulldoze. Close enough. And it's down. Some good experience for Munchlax right there, getting a level. Strength Rock right here. Now that we have Strength, we can actually move this as well. And this should be a plate. The Earth Plate. Powers up ground type moves. And this item up here is, I believe, the TM for Focus Punch. Yep. Focus Punch is a fighting type attack that takes one turn to charge before actually doing damage. However, if you're actually hit during the charge turn, you flinch and are not able to do anything at all. It's a strong move, but it's very situational and it requires some good strategy to actually good strategy to make it work. Excuse me. But that's actually all there is to the Orbor Gate, so we're free to leave and not have to worry about anything else in here. Except wild encounters, but can't really stop those. I did stock up on repels, but I want to save those for the other areas I'll be going through, since the encounters here aren't really too bad. Don't have to worry too much about them. Some of the trainers we're going to encounter later on, though, I don't think there are too many that are trainers of interest, so you don't have to worry about encountering any Pokemon that you might not have seen before. But it's always good to experience to explore new areas just in case. You're really never going to know what you're going to find. One last encounter here. You can also find Psyduck down here, which if you did want a water type and you didn't get one in the beginning of the game, you do have it available here. Cloud 9 is actually a pretty good ability too. It will stop the effects of any weather on the field. So within those rain routes in Pastoria, if you send out Psyduck, all the effects that it would happen are stopped. It would have been Cloud9 and its related ability, Airlock, are again very good abilities, but they're honestly better with they're better to use when dealing with the Primal Groudon, Primal Kyogre, solely because their abilities are much more overpowered. I'm head back over here to Oreburg because we're actually going to head north into the other side of Wayward Cave that we did not go into earlier. Don't know why I cut down that tree, and I've been through this route enough times to know it's time to use a repel. Alright. And yeah, like I said, this is the only area where you really need to use Flash. So I'm gonna deposit Murkrow for just this one turn. Gonna heal Manaphy as well. Finally use up all those potions. And TM70. There we go. And because it's not a field move that's in the typical sense, you have to use it on the menu screen here. But once it's been used once, we don't have to use Shinx anymore. So I'll put Murkrow back on the team. And this place is rather linear, but it actually is possible to get mixed up in here. I've done so quite a few times. But for what we're looking for in here, just follow some of these stealth rocks here. They'll lead you in the right direction. It's right over here. There are trainers here in the Wayward Cave, but all of them are double battles for one specific reason. And that reason is similar to what we saw or what we found back in the Eternal Forest. But I'll explain that when we find what we're looking for. I know it's easier to use to go around here without the bike, but it makes it faster. And after having a failed recording of this, I would rather have the speed than rather than the accuracy. I know that sounds weird coming from me, but I've already had to do this once before, and I kind of want to get this done, in all honesty. I hope that doesn't come off as me being, like, rude, but it's frustrating. But we have a unique person here. If I can talk to her. There we go. Her name is Mira. And Mira just wants to get out of here. She's similar to Cheryl in that she's a doubles trainer who specializes in a unique stat. And in her case, it's special attack. And you can see that best with the Pokemon she's going to use here in this battle. And she sends out, well, these guys are now Geode and Ghastly, but Mira has a Kadabra. This Kadabra really only has psychic attacks, and I believe maybe one other type, but it mostly just relies on Psybeam. Maybe Shockwave as well, I believe it has it. But against a Pokemon like Bronzor, it's not really going to do anything because it has no powerful attacks. Now, we are a bit, well, not a bit, we're massively over level for this point of the game. And I would use Gibble just to give her some experience. But again, I kind of just want to get out of here and move along quickly because I've already had to do this once. And to prevent my other team members from getting overpowered and overleveled, I will box them as soon as they reach level 44. The only exception will be Infernape, but I'm going to be boxing Infernape as well just to make sure he also doesn't get too overleveled. But I'll take that as when it comes. We still have a ways to go before we reach that point. Let's learn Bulldoze. Give it a Sand attack for that. And Psybeam should just OHKO this thing easily. And one last Ghastly. Mira can honestly take care of this. It's a waste of a turn, honestly, but I'm just gonna Charm. There we go. Now when it comes to healing and items, don't worry about them because just like Cheryl, Mira will heal you after every battle, so you don't need to worry about too much. And while these two trainers don't have an item past them, there are a bunch of hidden items everywhere, like this tiny mushroom. It's not worth much on its own, but there are plenty of other stuff you can find here, so be on the lookout for anything. For everything, I mean, excuse me. I'm not saying check every rock, but just be on the lookout while I check every rock. But with the dowsing machine is a bit weird to use in this game, especially in Sinnoh as a whole. It's usable, but it's a bit finicky. I know you guys don't really want to watch me rattle on about stuff like this for however long it's gonna be, so I'll try to speed up or cut out as much as I can. That's I want to say boring, but it's not really too interesting, I guess. Anything that's of note that I feel like I should have mentioned, I'll bring it up for sure. Because really, all this is pretty much just Manaphy blowing through this whole place. I want to use Gibble, and I honestly might. And I don't see why not. The next battle, I'll put Gibble up front. We do have Kadabra as a main powerhouse, The only thing Gible and Kadabra cannot touch is a Bronzor, but they're not really too common, especially with these trainers here. Only the hikers really have them. One thing I should mention is that as of this recording, Pokemon Legends Arceus is actually starting to get released around the world, with it being open in Australia already. I already knew for sure that I was not going to be able to finish this game before playing it, but I do want to do as much as I can, at least for the main story, before I play that game. And at the rate we're going, we're already only 2 batches left. The only thing I have to do now is just raise up my Pokemon and make sure they can keep up, which isn't too bad. But it's just a matter of making sure I don't have any recording issues either, because Lord knows I don't want that to happen again. Seriously, when I was recording last time, yesterday, it was 2 hours of progress that just went down the drain. Gibble was already evolved, a different Gibble. I'm pretty sure Munchlax was quickly on the way. I was in the middle of Iron Island as well, but my computer just froze and I had to stop that recording and start from scratch. I even had the rival battle in Candlelit City recorded as well, but unfortunately that was also missed. So I would say let that be a lesson to everybody. Make sure you keep track of how long your recording is, and any issues that you might face when recording, because you don't want to end up like how I had, like me. It's just honestly kind of feels weird battling these level 15s and 14s again after at the fact that we're having 6 badges already. But what can you really do? I'm pretty sure even if I were to continue with the main story as well, we would be able to catch up fairly quickly. However, there are some pretty handy items on these separate routes as well. So it actually is rather worth coming and taking the time to go through these areas. But maybe I should have done so earlier, especially in this case. But I suppose in the long term, it wouldn't make too much of a difference. I would have explored it anyway, done as much as I could, and we get the experience for some of our newer team members too. I'm rambling and rattling on again, but there's not really much to talk about. I did say Legends Arceus is more available out now. That Legends Arceus did just come out in Australia and will be coming out here in the US tomorrow. I've done everything I can to avoid spoilers. I haven't been completely successful, but I'd say I did my best. I've tried planning a team with what we've been shown, and honestly, I can't think of one. But maybe I'll see. I'll make up my own team. I'll make up my own team as time goes on playing the game, which I will be streaming on my Twitch channel at twitch.tv@JJColombia97. I might have some of my friends guest starring with me, so we can look out for that as well. And I'm sure it'll be fun times. Look forward to seeing some of you guys there on the stream chat. But the battle's done, and we have here a rare candy, always helpful. I believe there is actually a TM down here as well. It's not a bad TM by any means, but I would personally never use it solely because of the implications of what the move can do. It's our last regular repel. And there you go. We still have super repels though. I stocked up just for this situation. And I believe it's down here as well, right after these 2 trainers. Did that girl just try singing a lullaby to me? It's weird. One thing I did want to mention though regarding Gible and his moveset, normally instead of Dragon Breath and Tackle, it would actually have Take It Down and Dragon Rage. However, both of those moves were actually removed as of Sword and Shield, and they have not been returned in this game. So they gave it those two moves to compensate. I believe that Gible should also have Sandstorm as well, and it not having it is kind of weird to me, solely because in the original games it would have Sandstorm, and they gave Sandstorm in this game to Geodude at level 5. So I'm just confused as to why Gible wouldn't have it. It would fit, I suppose, because it had it back then, and it's still in this game. But I suppose in the long term, it doesn't really matter too much. I wouldn't really be using Sandstorm anyway. None of my team really benefits from it. And we just said, screw that youngster. Mira does not like him. As you can see, Gible has a few problems actually knocking out Pokemon. In fairness, this Spinnery is only 2 levels below Gible, and the moveset Gible has right now isn't really all that great. But later on, Gible, when it evolves, will turn into a killing machine. Mark my words. And that's about a quarter of this Apump's health, and that's from Tackle. Tackle. So keep that in mind. I think there's only about 1 or 2 more battles in here. So yeah, we're almost done with this, with the Wayward Cave. And TM2032 Double Team. This move is a move that pretty much every Pokemon can learn, and it raises evasiveness by 1 stage. It's a good move for the storyline, but it's a rather cheap move in competitive, and I really don't like using it in the main story. Not like I ever did anyway. So I'm probably not going to use it. But I believe these 2 hikers might be the last battle in this cave. I'm not sure 100% though. Just gonna... Who are you blasting this time? Ah, the Geodude. Doesn't have sturdy though, so it's a 1-hit KO. Why would you use Smackdown on the ground type? Is it because I'm the highest leveled? And I'm a Chop. Mira's probably going to side beam that too and just take it out. So let's target the Onyx. Yep. Taken down. And reach level 20. Curse does not really help you. Actually, no, it doesn't help this Onyx at least. Curse is actually a pretty decent move on Onyx, all things considered, since it's a rather speedy Pokemon, so we can afford 1 or 2 speed drops. The defense buffs gives it a monster's defense, and attack actually doesn't do damage, despite its 45 base attack. So it wouldn't be too bad. On Steelix too, I believe Curse Steelix is actually a pretty viable strategy. But I believe that's the last trainers here in Wayward Cave. All that's really left is some hidden items, but I'm not going to worry too much about those. And I think that's it. Nah, we'll go with 100 pulse. I think this is it. Yep. And we're all done. And that's all that she wrote for Wayward Cave. And with that being said and done, I think we'll call it an episode here. Well, not here, but you know what I mean. I'm gonna fly over to Sand Gem Town now. Next time on Pokemon Brilliant Diamonds, we're going to head over down south to Route 220 and 221, and we'll also check out the Fuego Ironworks. Those two routes, just like the underground of the Ouroboros Gate with that one veteran trainer, do have a ton of trainers in that route that are higher level than what we've seen on most areas so far, and it should be some really good experience for the entire team. So, again, with all that being said and done, I'll see you guys in the next episode, and we'll get some really good experience in. And I'll even explain one brand new thing in this game that we can't really do yet, but I'll go over it for sure when I have access to it. Thanks you guys for your patience, and see you guys then.